We are spending as a culture 500% more on products and things to make us feel better about ourselves, and I guarantee you we're not 500% happier.
Yeah.
So we're very much in a vortex of consumption under the guise of confidence. Also, it's the access that we have day in and day out to compare ourselves to others. And how much time do we spend scrolling or looking? And it is just, you probably don't even recognize you're looking at something and you're identifying 10 things that you could change about, subconscious, that you don't recognize the effect it's having on you personally. And so we keep seeking that, but it's actually fueling the negative bias in ourselves.
Welcome back to Building the Burbs. My name is Howard.
I'm Keegan.
And today we have a very, very, very special guest, Casey Sullivan with Curating Confidence.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Hey.
Casey, thank you so much for coming on.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Our pleasure. Do you want to start off with some icebreakers? Let's do that.
Oh, okay, yes. Are these rapid fire or do I have
Yeah,
time?
it's
Rapid
rapid
fire.
fire.
Ooh, okay.
My favorite one to ask. What's your go-to morning pick-me-up? If it is a coffee, what's your coffee order?
Black, darker the better.
That's good. This is going to be a great podcast. I like that.
Okay.
Hot or iced?
Hot.
Okay.
Even in the summer.
That's the right answer.
Even in the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's your ideal client?
Ideal client could be men or women, but people going through life transitions where their self-confidence is kind of rocked. They're struggling with the holistic approach of feeling good in their own bodies for various capacities and showing up powerfully in their careers, their lives, their businesses, whatever that looks like for them.
What's your driving force that brings you to work every day in the morning?
It's the aha moment I get to see with clients when for the first time in a long time, or maybe the first time ever, they make that face like, wow, I love myself. I feel good
Beautiful.
in myself. And I don't know if I've ever felt that way before.
Interesting.
Wow.
It's a really magical moment.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I bet. It's interesting.
Last one for me. If God allows you to see 10 years ahead into the future, would you look?
I did not hear the end of that question. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. If God allows you to look 10 years in the future, would you take a look?
Oh, no.
No.
No. I think, how could you keep anything on course if you knew, because you'd be constantly questioning how to deconstruct it to get there when you know it's just going to happen if you do it.
That's
different, yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a wing it kind of person.
That's
so
good. Yeah.
It makes sense though.
It
makes
translates.
sense. It's just like if you know, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and then something kind of looks like it's going off of it, you're gonna be freaking out, like, and you might change that just by, you know what I'm saying, thinking about it. So
is then the future actually going to be the future?
exactly.
I like that answer a lot, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's. I had to sit with that for a second, and just think through that.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
So,
Go ahead.
So I guess tell the audience a little bit about Curating Confidence, who it's for, what it does.
Yeah. So my business is for people that really need to kind of rewire how they see their bodies and how they show up for themselves. The data right now is showing that 97% of women roughly dislike at least one thing about their body.
Oh.
And they make choices based on those emotions. So choices in their careers, choices in their families, how they show up. Think about how many times you hear your friends say, oh, I don't really want to be in pictures. I don't like that. So, and it's, the numbers aren't much less for men. I don't know the exact ones, so I'm not going to quote it, but they're not far behind, especially since COVID. It's become more and more of a conversation on the male side as well.
Sure.
So my business is for those people struggling in those spaces. Maybe they had a double mastectomy from cancer, and now they're like, whole image is thrown off. Who am I with this massive body change, and how do I show up?
Yeah.
Or I work a lot with the veteran community, veterans coming out and transitioning into careers. They've been told what to wear their whole career. Now they're taking on a new role. A lot of times their bodies shift, whether it be from a wound or because now they're not in the same fitness routines, anything like that. And so they're really starting to question their overall confidence.
Yeah.
Well, to that then, keeping the demographic of young adults, teenagers in mind, or I guess even adults for that matter, do you see social media playing and having an influence on people's confidence? Is that a negative or is that a positive?
I think it can be, excuse me, I think it can be developed how you curate your feed, right? You can find people and content and influencers on both sides of the story. However, data is showing that more prevalently the negative side is showing. It's a world where it's all about comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy.
Absolutely.
So when you spend your day scrolling through things and you're constantly in this staircase of comparing, like, oh my goodness, you're betting yourself against whoever you're comparing it to, right? And you're immediately like in your own head without even realizing it creates these patterns and belief systems that you're constantly questioning and judging yourself against somebody else and their highlight reel, right? Because that's what we post on social media. So I do think it definitely plays a huge role. And I think the data would back me up on that, specifically in the teen space.
Sure.
And a lot of those like skinny trends and all these crazy trends you've seen come through on TikTok, and you're like, oh my God, this cannot be healthy.
So you grew up in Texas, right?
I did.
And you were a model early on?
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. Like, and I guess how did that experience kind of shape you as far as curating confidence is concerned?
Done some good research. Yes. So I fell into the fashion industry by way of modeling. I didn't know why I would be modeling. I just happened to be tall and skinny at the time. So I hit the markers of what was considered desirable on the externals at that time of my life. And I was about to turn 21 and I had an opportunity to go to Paris and somebody else was going to pay. And I thought, okay, again, wing it. What's the worst that happened? Send me home. So I did that for a little while, and then I went to New York and did the same thing, and then I transferred into Los Angeles, working for an agency out there. And I unknowingly through that time built my entire self-confidence around an external image. I couldn't see my worth beyond the commodity that my body had become. And so when I hit a health crisis, completely out of my control, and doctors couldn't figure out what was going on, I gained 100 pounds in 9 months. And when your entire worth is tied to how you look, and that's how you pay your bills, I spiraled very quickly. I went from thinking I had my life figured out to complete self-loathing and thinking I had nothing left to offer the world. Even though I had actually already left modeling, I was in my fashion design school. I was starting to work with really reputable brands, having cool opportunities. And my success had really nothing to do with my externals, but I couldn't see that.
So I guess, just diving a little deeper into that, how do you think that has affected and helped you build your confidence over the years? And like, what advice would you want to give to, say, someone our age now who, especially teenagers who are like going through that, I don't want to say identity crisis,
Sure,
but more so things like body dysmorphia, lower confidence levels. Like, how can they learn something from your testimony?
that's a really great question. Unfortunately, I think our world promotes this idea that we have to spend money to buy the products to keep us all looking a certain way. Like, look at the, $1 trillion beauty industry, or almost $1 trillion. It's right close to $500 billion in worldwide beauty sales. And that spends like skincare to procedures to clothes to anything. And none of that stuff is per se bad if you're aware of why you're making the choice to do it. But girls by the age of 3, children, not even girls, children by the age of 3 are starting to identify being thin with success and beauty. And because that's the shows they see, that's who they, the villains are always
Idolize.
the ugly fat person. And,
Mhm.
so it creates
Mm.
this mindset from a very early age that how you look externally or even status, income, what your role
Yeah.
is the only thing you have to offer the world,
Yeah.
which the work. And when I started going through my journey and I literally had to
Yeah.
build myself back up from this dark hole I had fallen into,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so I can't guarantee my body. I can't guarantee the externals, but I can focus on my internals. And what does that look like? So it was really just building a system for myself
Okay.
on daily intentional practices. There's no magic pill. There's no quick fix. It is 5 minutes in the morning, just being like, you know what? I got this. Like
Yeah.
intentionally looking in the mirror and finding something you like to appreciate.
Yeah.
Don't
Sure.
focus on the size, the wrinkles, the color, whatever it is that you're finding to be a stress point for you.
Yeah.
It's intentionally choosing to find something that you like.
For
Mhm.
sure.
My body is strong. I got up today and it carries me through that thing.
Mhm.
And those little micro habits are what starts to really curate that confidence for people.
Yeah.
And then you get to add in the other things, clothes, and why, I went to school for fashion. I've worked in fashion for 20 years, and clothes are such a powerful tool. I
Yeah.
love it. It's fun. You can self-express through it, but it can be your superpower and it can be your kryptonite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the intent behind it, right? So
Mm.
if you don't know how to use your clothes as your superpower, then you unintentionally, they kind of become something that you
Yeah.
use to mask or to hide behind
Yeah.
or to just like, I feel frumpy, so I'm going to dress frumpy. And that carries out through your day.
Yeah. For sure.
So I'm just starting to do those things. And then I started to geek out into like the neuroscience behind it
Yeah.
and studying like why we have these thoughts and how they form and how do we unform them or can we unform them? And that's where this is led in my
awesome.
business.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that.
Now enough stories, right? Enoughness stories, I should say.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about what that is.
The enoughness stories. I think we all have those moments, or my experience is that we all have these moments where we're like, I'm never going to be enough. I'm never going to achieve enough. I'm never going to have enough or be pretty enough. We're constantly in this state of maybe I'll be worth more if.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if you're just worth more because you exist?
Yeah.
What does that shift for you in how you show up if you can genuinely start to believe that? And I struggled for a long time, and I've talked about this a long time, off and on with different mentors and even counselors over the years. I'm like, I logically know these things, but it's like it doesn't connect with my heart.
Yeah.
And someone once told me it was the longest 18 inches in the world, your head to your heart.
Wow.
And the only thing that can eventually connect those dots is the repetition.
Mm.
It's rewiring those neural pathways, and that just takes intentional time.
Yeah. So I guess, just looking back at all of your experiences in field right now, like how are you seeing this show out for, I'm going to keep going back to young adults and
Yeah,
teenagers.
please.
Like how are you seeing that show out and show up for them in what ways are these negative emotions, playing out for children today, teenagers today, and how is that showing for their life forward? Like how is that playing into and bleeding into their psychology and the way they act and the way they pull themselves together?
Sure. So I believe one of the most extreme examples of this, and there's far more nuanced things that show up in day-to-day life, but the number of young adults with depression, anxiety, eating disorders,
Yeah.
those things are astronomically higher than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
And, overall health, if you're withholding yourself from food or binge eat, binging and purge, like there's so many health effects there. But the psychological even of having to like question if you should eat something, or I even grew up with so many of my friends that wouldn't eat in front of guys because it was like, oh, well, you have to, think. I'm like, and it's a mindset that we're taught, right? I talked about once I was roughly 7 the first time somebody cracked a joke about how big my thighs were. I was a gymnast. I naturally, biologically have thicker legs. But you start to internalize these things. And it was somebody that I love and loved me and cared deeply. They weren't trying to be ugly. They were teasing me about something that just seemed goofy to them at the time. But I internalized that and then started thinking about it. And then I'd heard it again a couple years later. And then, I would sit in middle school with girls that their moms would pack them lunch with Slim Fast with the idea like, I don't want you to suffer like I did. I'm going to start you on this journey of weight loss now. But we're indoctrinating, our culture is indoctrinated with these meant out of love. It's not that they're not meant out of love, but they're misguided.
Mm-hmm.
They're not understanding the back end damage that's going to create the habits and the choices and the fear around failing or gaining weight or, not looking to the cultural standard of whatever is the season. It changes every decade or so. If you go back and look at the supermodels of each decade, nobody can ever achieve all of those things. We're not designed that way. So it's rewriting the narrative and making sure people understand that health isn't a size. It's different for every person, and it's nourishing your body. And if you are shaming yourself into exercise, it's not sustainable. Or if you're shaming yourself in food choices, it's not sustainable because you're eventually going to spiral. So how do you show up and say, I want to take care of myself from a place of love, and those things just fall into place? I want to move my body because I care about my body and I want it to last a long time. I need to nourish my body because I want to show up for my grandkids someday or whatever that looks like. So I think it's having some of this dialogue and the narratives and trying to create that movement where it's flooding your social media channels, more so than some of the other stuff.
That's interesting.
So,
go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the things that I talk a lot with my clients is how you talk about yourself, your children internalize. You're not even talking to them, but they will see how much you tear yourself apart, and they're going to start to internalize that. So one of the practices I've gotten into, I don't have any kids of myself, but I have several nieces and nephews. And when the little ones want to be around, if I'm getting ready for something or I'm getting dressed up for something, like, oh, you're doing your makeup, you're going to look so pretty. And I said, no, you're already pretty. We're getting fancy.
Yeah.
It's like making sure that they understand you don't need this stuff to be pretty. You're already pretty. You're already worthy. You're already beautiful. You're already all the things. You're just glamming it up a little bit.
Yeah, so. For sure. So talk about that kind of like light bulb moment for Curating Confidence, where I think it was a lady with breast cancer, and she was saying like she didn't think she was gonna feel pretty again.
Man, years later, and it still chokes me up. And this is kind of reverts back to my comment about that moment in the mirror. I was still very much in my own healing journey for image, and I had left the fashion industry I was still doing it on the side, but I wasn't doing it for my full-time job because I'd lost all my self-confidence. And I was working in the nonprofit sector. And a friend of mine came to me. She was like, hey, I have a friend that needs your help. She needs a special event dress. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? She's like, she just needs help finding a dress. I don't really do that anymore. So I went back and forth with my friend about it. She's like, just meet with her. I promise you can help her. So we go to the mall, and are malls still a thing?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm kidding. Well, we go to the mall. I was like, well, people know what that is. And we're in Dillard's. And she has a special event that, the coming weekend. And she had spent, I don't know how many days prior trying to find a dress. And she's like, I just hate everything. Well, she starts, I'd pulled a couple things. We talked about some stuff. We're in the dressing room. And I realized as she's talking through her experience trying on dresses that this has nothing to do about the dress. This has everything to do about her body image. She had, several months prior gone through a double mastectomy. The reconstruction hadn't healed quite properly, and so there was a lot of scar tissue and damage. And if you've ever tried to buy a formal or had a female friend buy a formal, they don't cover a lot often.
Yeah.
They're strapless and things like that. So she was grappling with the fact that she didn't think she was going to be pretty enough. And this event was an award for her husband, and he wanted her to come up on stage with him to receive it. And she was like, I'm going to ruin his night. I look terrible. And I was like, in that moment, I was just knew like this, I know this pain. My story behind the pain was different, but the pain that I wasn't good enough to do something because of the way I looked, I was like, oh, I can help that. I know how to help that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this all started. And that was the aha moment that I was like, this is way beyond Hollywood. This is way beyond the, the extremes of modeling industry. This is infiltrated in our everyday lives and these little micro moments that you just don't even realize. The moms that are like, I can't swim with my kid at the pool. I look gross in a bathing suit. These little micro moments that affect every single day.
So I think too that one of the beautiful things about humanity is, community.
Absolutely.
And from what it sounds like, I think there's, in one way or another, we can all show up for each other. So if you were to give advice to people that are listening and to us, how do you show up for someone that's grappling with something so deep and so, overwhelming?
In my experience, I will say there's no right or wrong to it. There's no exact formula. And this was one of the challenges when starting my business I really faced. I was like, how do I do something on repeat when people are so nuanced? It's so different. How do I create something that's available to many when it's so nuanced? And I was so close to the problem I couldn't see out of it. What I've come to realize is oftentimes it's just sitting on the closet with them while they cry. That's like the moment, the space to give them, to hold space for that pain. Then you can figure out the solution. There's just being able to build that trust in that moment where it's like, okay, I've been through this, you're going through it, and I'm going to sit here with you while you do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part of community that people get overworked about. Like, oh, I need to have a solution. I need to have the answer. Sometimes I just need you to sit with me.
Yeah.
I don't need you to say anything. I just need you to have that moment and let me feel safe.
Well,
kind of got me.
Do you feel safe? We can cry.
So in 2020, you decided to leave your job to start Curating Confidence. Now 2020 was
a joke.
A big year.
God had a sense of humor.
2020 was a big year.
Yep.
So was this prior to, like, just before the pandemic, or was this during the pandemic?
Oh no, it was prior.
Oh,
I don't think I would have left my safety net to start a styling business when nobody was going to get dressed for 2 years. Remember the wing it. No. Yes. So I really didn't know. I was so miserable in my day job, and it had nothing to do with the industry or the business at all. It was just, it wasn't what my calling was. And my boyfriend was like, I can't handle you being this miserable every day. Like anything, figure something out. And I was like, I think I need to start my business. But I didn't know really what that was going to be. I knew I wanted to help people. I had already done, like, the client we just talked about in the dressing room. Like, that was all just me not having a business, just helping friends, right? Yeah. And I was like, I know I wanted it to be kind of in that space, but again, I was just felt like this overwhelming, like, what does that look like? How do I charge? How do I promote it? You know? But I was like, okay, we'll figure it out. Yeah. And so I just really thought it was going to be a styling business specifically. And so all in, I launched it in January of 2020. Wow. And by March, no one got dressed. They're like, oh, but I have these pajamas I can wear every day. I don't need you. Yeah. But really, you know, they say that those things really force you to get creative, and it did. And again, I joke about it, but I honestly think it was like the biggest silver lining for me, because it forced me to own the fact that I really wanted to be more than styling. I really valued that piece that very few people talk about, the internal piece.
Yeah.
And again, clothes are only as powerful as the person wearing them and the
Yeah.
person that feels in them. And there's so much science and data that, like, it's the term is called enclothed cognition.
Mm-hmm.
It's the scientific proof that how you feel in your clothes directly impacts your behaviors and your performance.
Interesting.
So they did all these studies where, you know, they put a person in a lab coat and they're like, oh, you're a painter. And they run these tests and they showed more creativity and more expression because they had the mindset that they were a painter.
Yeah.
And then they put them in the coat again and told them they were a doctor, and they did better on numbers and lab, things like that. So I'm very roughly explaining this, but there's just so much science in saying, like, how you think you're supposed to be in those clothes, how you feel in them is going to impact how you show up. Yeah. And that's why it's like kind of an archaic term, but dress for success really does have some solid backing behind it, you know, and it's not about being in a suit and tie every day. That's not necessarily have to be your normal. It's about what makes you feel successful and empowered and confident and set up for the day.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick short break, and then we'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by Hatchbridge Incubator. Hatchbridge Incubator is a partnership between Kennesaw State University and the Cobb Chamber of Commerce. We offer entrepreneurs the programs, the support, and the accountability that they need to build their businesses. We have programs and we have facilities for them to use. So our new facility will launch off of Chastain Road in the summer of 2025. We'll have 9 private offices for companies. We'll also have dedicated hot desk space for them to work at, and we'll have an event facility there as well. Learn more at hatchbridge.com.
You know, do you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle against, just big corporations right now with what they're pushing down the chain to your customers right now? And if you are fighting an uphill battle, how are you fighting that uphill battle?
I would say my biggest uphill battle at the moment is fighting GLP-1s.
Wow.
Yeah. Because so much of people's confidence, they derive from their body image.
Sure.
And weight is the number one contributor for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in a culture that has become obsessed with the magic pill. We want everything instantly. We want it now. We want it right now. We want it fixed. We want it better. And those have offered that to people in a capacity. People with that, it's yo-yo diet culture, the same concept. You can do big swings. The struggle is if you don't like yourself first, even if you hit the weight loss that you thought was your ultimate goal, that high, that happiness with it will only last a very limited amount of time before you start picking yourself apart for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I have to tone something. Now I have to do this. Now I got to get rid of my wrinkles because GLP-1s are notorious for, lose a lot of weight fast, your skin sags. Yeah. So really, it's having conversation after conversation after conversation. I'm not trying to deter somebody from weight loss.
Sure.
There's a lot of health benefits at some point. Some people really genuinely would be healthier if they could lose some weight. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, are you aware of the intention behind your doing it? Mm-hmm. And are you doing it out of a place of shame for your own image? Or are you truly doing it out of a health thing? Because those motivators are very different. And your satisfaction at the end will be very different when you recognize your motivator. And there's no data to say long-term, what are these effects going to be? Well, I know long-term, having a positive self-image built on through intentional action, daily habits, has great benefits your whole life. It's something that keeps on giving. So it's those are the conversations that I'm fighting against right now. It's like, oh yeah. I want to do that. But actually I'm cool because I just started losing all this weight with my, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting.
And it sounds like loving yourself, like it sounds so simple, but I feel like there's a lot of like stigmas kind of like, like, I even have to say like myself, like I used to kind of have that stigma of like loving yourself. Like, bro, of course I'm loving myself, but you don't even realize that you're your intentions behind the things that you're doing is not reflecting that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do you, when you're talking to people, like how do you help them with their own stigmas that they probably don't even realize they have?
Mm. So one of my good friends, and I'm not saying anything he didn't write in his own book, so I'm not spilling anybody's personal stories.
Sure.
But one of my good friends, he is a veteran, and he came back from deployment with a medical issue, and he lost several guys that he was in charge of in their last op. And he was really grappling with massive depression and like self-loathing from feeling like he lost those people and it was all his fault.
Yeah.
And he was literally going to become one of those statistics of 22 a day in suicide. He was standing at the end of a dock with a gun in the back of his mouth, like in his mouth.
Wow.
And just what his friend that he was rooming with at the time when he was trying to figure stuff out asked him, he's like, dude, let me ask you, do you love yourself? And he's like, yeah, I totally love me. And he goes, no. He's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I want you to go stand in the mirror, look yourself in the eye and tell yourself if you love yourself. And if you can do it, I believe you. And he just broke down in tears. And it was that moment that it was like, there's a difference between confidence and ego.
Yeah.
And ego is that thing where like, yeah, I absolutely love myself. Like, you know, it can get really, really, there's a gray line there. And so I think for me, we're working with clients is making sure that we start at a baseline. I do a lot of assessments when I intake clients, so I understand where your baseline is.
Sure.
So I can understand all of those things that we need to start pulling back those layers on gently. You have roots to your belief systems, and we need to dial into that root so you can start rewriting that to a story that better serves you now.
For sure.
And so that's kind of the baseline for everything. I call it a 3-part formula. We clear, compose, and curate.
Wow.
We clear out old mindsets. We compose new ones, new habits, new intentions, and then we curate a wardrobe to match.
It's beautiful.
And that's kind of how I work with clients in that space.
Yeah.
So, from what it sounds like, do you ever kind of think that you're teetering the line of like psychology, more psychiatrist to help?
Yes.
And how do you find that? Like, how do you find that balance of, you know, you're at the end of the day, you're promoting something.
Mhm.
You know, you're promoting this idea of a fleshed out wardrobe that fits you,
Mhm.
but at the same time, there's so much emotion behind that. There's so much humanity that you need to stick with. Like, how do you find that balance between the two things?
That's a beautiful question. Our closets are not comprised of things, they're comprised of stories. So when you go into someone's closet, there's like people that just can't get rid, like decluttering's hard because like, I got this great memory with this, or I have this, you know, but there's also a lot of wounds around some of that.
Yeah.
And I definitely flirt with the line of therapy. And I'm not calling myself a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I don't want to be known as one. I don't play one on TV. But I went back to school for rehab services.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of studying in that space. And I now, within the next month, should have my final piece of it done. But I'm in the process of getting trauma certified.
Okay.
So being able to meet people in those spaces and not have the whole rest of our appointment fall apart.
Yeah.
Being able to give them that space and that love that they need to have that moment, but also guide them through resiliency.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. So my sister joked before I even started this business. She's like, you're basically a closet counselor. I was like, yeah. But you got to be careful with that language.
Yeah.
So I definitely flirt with
That's
that
funny.
line a lot, but
Okay.
I have studied it a lot. My body image work is founded in psychology.
It's beautiful. Makes sense.
So, and I guess kind of to build off that, right? Creating confidence isn't the usual like fashion consulting thing, right? It kind of focuses on emotional empowerment.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And I think you've called it neuro-emotional image consulting.
Correct.
So like, how do you, I guess, actually blend the fashion styling aspect of it with the curating confidence aspect of it?
So it's kind of, it intertwines. So fashion in my mind is something we can do for a quick win.
Sure.
If you're feeling less than or unconfident about something and you've got a big presentation, we can get you an outfit put together that you feel a lot better in really quickly.
Yeah.
That's a quick win. So while we're working on the body image stuff, because that's the deeper, dig in, take some time kind of work, we'll have these little things where we're learning about what you like, what you don't like, all these things. And we're recording these things and we're learning. And what's cool is I have it set up to where some of the fashion stuff is integrated, so you're learning as we go. But the fashion piece is really the red bow at the end of the package. So when we get to the end of the programming, we really focus those last couple of weeks on the external image part. Now we've done all this great foundation on the internal part, and it is going to change how you see your wardrobe. It's going to change how you want to get dressed. So doing it too early is not super helpful, because then you're like, oh, and I got to change all this stuff anyways. So it's usually that like victory lap we do at the end of like the harder work. It's like, now we get to go play, and now you get to learn how to love your closet too.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because if you think about the fact that you get up and get dressed every day, if that wardrobe is set up in a way that you love it, you're immediately already more confident.
Yeah.
It can also, activate you in a negative way.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this makes me feel horrible. Like, these are my fat pants, and these are my clothes that I'm going to lose 30 pounds for. And you've been saying that for 12 years and you've only put on more weight.
Yeah.
So it's how do you set yourself up for success using clothes as a tool? And that's usually the fun part, where it gets to all kind of come together and you see how it plays out in your daily routine. Because some of that other stuff, it's so powerful, but you don't always notice it right away. It's like taking a supplement. You're like, it's helping, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But it takes a while for the build up to really be like, wow, like a year later.
Yeah.
Can you? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through limiting beliefs, and how does that show up in maybe your clients, maybe anecdotes that you have, and how does one deal with that?
Ooh, I think that I still see limiting beliefs in myself all the time. I will say, I don't see those things as ever going away. I kind of look at it like imposter syndrome. I use it as a caliber to know that I'm growing again. So the minute I hit one of those belief systems, I'm like, ooh, it's time to grow.
Okay.
Because you get really comfortable in things you do on repeat, right? And when you get really comfortable with that, and then all of a sudden something creeps in, that limiting belief, whatever it might be, the first thing I would say to do is assess the facts.
Yeah.
Sit down, literally sit down with a journal or something and say, okay, where is this coming from and why? Assess the facts. If it's true, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
Maybe you need to take a class. Maybe you need to learn a little bit more or seek help or support for somebody that is in that space. Or maybe it's just a belief, and then you can start intentionally rewriting that belief.
Yeah.
And that comes into the daily habits and practice. I think when you have that limiting belief, it's recognizing you have it, taking the 2 minutes to be intentional with it, say, where's this coming from? And assess the facts and move forward accordingly.
Makes sense. That's actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because we're never not going to have them.
Yeah.
No matter how good you get at something, something's going to creep in. It's going to happen. I've done body image work for myself personally for 15 years, and I still have days where I'm like, ugh, seriously?
Yeah.
But now the difference is I catch it and I have the tools to flip the script so it doesn't own me.
I like that a lot also because, there's an extension. Like, that's not only just what you wear and how you show up for yourself, but I think just in life in general, there's so many limiting beliefs that people have with their careers, with their families, with how they show up for themselves. And I've never heard like a breakdown solution to that. So,
let me know if it works.
No, to me, like that's practical information. Like that's practical, and that's actionable, which is very interesting. And I'm sure it's gonna be helpful.
Yeah,
I think that is my biggest goal with this business, is to take hard concepts and give you easy action steps for it.
Yeah.
Life's hard.
Yeah.
Lots of things come up and you're like, oh, like we're doing this again. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So how, and it's same thing I'm learning in this cohort here at Hatchbridge is how can you look at the end thing and deconstruct it to get there?
Yeah.
And so it's the same way I've done with confidence and wardrobe. This is my ultimate goal. How can I deconstruct that to reach that through small action steps?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's what makes it applicable when there are small action steps that you don't feel so afraid to take it.
Yeah.
So in addition to the one-on-one work that we've been talking about, you also have community-driven stuff like confidence and cocktails. Talk a little bit about what that is, and I guess why you felt the need to create that.
That came from listening to my clients. Essentially, like my business started as a one-to-one service,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times that's exactly what somebody needs. Yet their either availability of funds isn't there, or a lot of times it's the limiting belief that they're worth spending that money on themselves.
Yeah.
They might have it, but they don't see themselves as worthy of spending it
For
on
sure.
them. So it's a container, one, because we need community, as we mentioned earlier. When you can speak your shame out loud, that's when it loses power.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So when I was able to give people a space to come together, no recording, just a place to talk, bring life, bring business, bring clothes, bring body image, whatever it is, and we're going to talk about it. I'm not the only expert in the room. There's women with tons of life experience in the room. We're all here to support each other. That's how we get better. And that's how we realize that it was the first time that when I was in a group, that I was like, oh, my pain is not personal. It's universal.
Yeah. It's a beautiful realization.
And when you're like, oh, woe is me, not so much. Get over yourself. Like this was the internal dialogue in my head when that hit me. I was like, oh, I have been so stuck on me at this moment. But everybody's dealing with these thoughts. So how can I create space to talk about it where we can let the shame of it go and start to actually put in actionable steps? Like, cool. Okay, you're struggling with this thing and you have a special event coming up. What are you thinking about wearing? Bring 3 options to the call. We'll talk through it. Get feedback. You know, it's just really, but it was a way to create something that was for community, but also at a lower entry of barrier for investment. If you just wanted to test out the waters or that was just a better fit for you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And then from the community aspect, I do a lot of workshops as well now too.
Okay.
Public speaking is not something that was ever on my list of things to do, by the way. I thought, you want me to do what? And I did the 1 million cups. Are you guys familiar with this program?
No.
So it's to help small business owners that have been in business for less than 5 years, I believe. And you present to other business owners that show up, and they say if you have 1 million cups of coffee over time, you get from all these people with wisdom.
Yeah.
So they condensed it down into like a program. They give you a slide deck to build out to showcase your business, and then you get feedback from all these other business owners. So I was invited to present for that. Like,
Wow.
I want to say my first year in business or so. And I had to stand up, and I didn't know I was going to have to speak into a microphone. I thought I was going to die.
Oh my God.
That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Look
it's
at you.
growing.
Yeah.
But the workshops and stuff came out of a need to educate people. I was struggling in my business to get sales, like full transparency, because I'm countercultural. People want the quick fix. And I was like, I don't want really the quick fix.
Yeah.
And again, people didn't get dressed for those 2 years. So
Yeah.
it was a way for me to teach and market and get better about even my own messaging as I was helping people. And that's kind of how those workshops started. And then I did a workshop, and somebody's like, ooh, will you come do one at my group? And I was like, oh, okay. So it's just kind of spiraled that way.
Yeah.
But now it's a thing I actually offer.
Yeah.
So
And look at you now talking
I know
45 minutes
like
on the
a whole
podcast.
podcast or something.
So I guess to that, right, testament to that, looking internally,
Mm.
what has been the biggest impact on your life from all of your work?
Ooh. Ooh. The biggest impact on my life from my work. So for 2 years, I was a house parent at a children's home. And I worked as basically the respite mother for a teenage girls' home. And I had anywhere from 6 to 12 girls in my home at any given time. And this was in the throes of me, kind of my lowest. And I was just starting to do the work on building myself up. And I was sitting at the kitchen table with one of the girls, and she was just in tears, almost inconsolable. And it was about her looks and being teased and bullied at school. And I started just without even thinking about it, started talking about stuff that I had recently been learning for myself. And I was like, oh, like there's something here I'm learning, and I'm now teaching it to somebody. And I think it was that realization that the things that you learn and do for yourself have power, and other people probably need them. And I think just the ownership of that was the only reason I was brave enough to dip my toe in this.
Yeah.
Is like, I don't have all the solutions, and I'm not the only person that can bring them to the world by any means. But to watch people I love suffer was not okay.
Yeah.
And if I had the tools to offer those people, then who else could I help?
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Now your company is definitely very impact driven, right?
I guess. Stupid.
No.
Kidding.
So with that being said, right? I guess how have you been able to balance, right? The fact that you actually are still running a business though. So the practical side of it versus the impact driven side of it.
I am so still figuring that out. That's a great question. Maybe my numbers guy can help me. That really is a good question. There is a nuance to that I can't say that I actually have figured out or have any real science to. I've been operating out of, do I have enough to survive right now? Okay, cool. We're just going to keep going. and really with the mindset of, at some point, impact has to create finances, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what influencers do.
Oh, yeah.
I am not an influencer, by the way. Yet I think it's just kind of that concept. Okay, if I just keep showing up and doing it for the impact, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And slowly and surely, I'm kind of figuring it out. It's been slow. And again, I don't have that formula just right yet.
Yeah.
But enough to keep going. And somehow God always shows up when you need it to provide the paying client.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm a small business still.
Yeah, 5 years later. 5 years later.
Yeah, but I will say, really, one of the things I've been focusing on is creating, and one of the reasons I'm working on my trauma certification is so I have pipelines to build with health practitioners and organizations to bring me in with grant funding. Even if they're a nonprofit organization, they can get grants to come in and teach some of these things.
Sure.
I've done a lot of pro bono work with men going through halfway houses, like in the journey of their interview process. Like, how do you show up confident for an interview after you've spent 18 months of your life in a halfway house in recovery? That your self-confidence is low.
Yeah.
So coming in to teach workshops in those spaces, women domestic violence center shelters. So how can I now change still creating the impact, but doing it from a place that I can set myself up for, like, this is now a service offering that I have added in, and funding will come, right?
Yeah.
God
That's
wills.
the plan.
Yeah.
For sure.
What would you say is one, or as many as you want, biggest misconceptions about building confidence?
Biggest misconceptions. I think the easy one is it's external. We always look to the externals first. What do you
Mhm.
look like? What do you drive? How much money do you make? What's your title? And there is a level of confidence that comes from that, but it's very much built on a house of cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest misconception, is that there doesn't have to be anything deeper holding that up.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So what's next? For creating confidence, I guess, in the immediate future, and also, 5-10 years ahead looking.
Goodness. I just launched my first product this week.
Congratulations.
So I'm dipping my toe into that space.
Oh, yeah.
Again, just another way to build brand awareness,
Yeah.
to offer some, self-guided things for people to do to start building self-confidence, to create those micro habits on a daily basis. So that's kind of right now I'm testing out that space a little
Yeah.
bit to kind of keep expanding. Are you wanting my ultimate for 10 years or like?
Yeah,
Sure.
why not?
Let me rephrase this for you.
Yes.
What does impact look like to you on a larger scale?
Ooh. I would really love to see the numbers shift the other way. The data. I know that sounds crazy and astronomical, and it's not just me. It's all the other people that work in my space combined that can shift these numbers, where our depression, our anxiety, our eating disorders, those data-driven numbers are starting to actually decrease for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah.
They are?
No, I want them to.
Oh, you want them to? Okay, I was like,
no,
I gotta
that's
go
my
back
goal.
and
That's the
look
goal.
at that.
Yeah.
They're not.
Okay, I see what
They're
you're saying.
higher than ever.
Yeah.
We are spending as a culture 500% more
Mm-hmm.
on products and things to make us feel better about ourselves. And I guarantee you, we're not 500% happier.
Yeah.
So we're very much in a vortex of consumption
Mm-hmm.
under the guise of confidence.
Oh, that's so beautifully said.
So I guess, why do you think, right, that it's higher than ever now versus 1900s?
I think there's a lot of factors there. One, documentation,
Mm.
awareness and documentation, that does
yeah.
factor it, Also, it's the access that we have day in and day out to compare ourselves to others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much time do we spend scrolling or looking, and it is just, you probably don't even recognize you're looking at something, and you're identifying 10
It's
things that you
subliminal
could
now.
change about. Yeah, it's so ingrained and so subconscious that you don't recognize the effect it's having on you personally.
Yeah.
It's just that little dopamine hit. We're wired all
Yeah.
the time, wired. And so we keep seeking that, but it's actually fueling the negative bias in ourselves versus, again, if you're not intentional aware of what you're putting, you're intaking.
Yeah.
And I guess the way it kind of like sneaks up on you, as far as you getting to that point where it's affecting you that deeply, it can kind of be reversed that same way.
And it's also money driven. You look at like the marketing behind these major companies you were talking about earlier, with clothing brands and beauty products, and you got to keep up with the next person. So we need the wrinkle cream. I mean, how dare I age?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't that the goal? Yeah.
I know, it was such a journey. Like, so my hair started graying pretty young, actually. And my hair's really dark, obviously.
Yeah.
So when it started graying, you see it, it's silver. And you're like, oh. So like 27, I was like, hair dye.
Oh, no, yeah.
And it was just in the last like year and a half that I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
And this is not shade to anybody that does their hair at all. It's just, I realized for me, I'm like, I am exhausted trying to keep this up every 2 weeks because the roots show so quickly in my dark hair. And I was like, why? Why do I have to care?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't. I get to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just that freedom of saying, that might not be how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
You are perfectly wonderful exactly where you are. But I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I get to make that choice. And
Yeah, that's
that power was so liberating.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess, where can people go to learn more about Curating Confidence and reach out to you.
I am curating confidence everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. My website is curatingconfidence.com. We tried to keep things
Pretty
simple.
easy.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Pretty
that.
easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So yes, I literally, and my name is spelled like the Sunshine Band, it's just Casey.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't pop up, you can always look for that because it's pretty searchable.
If you had to give, one closing message out to the audience, people that are watching,
Mm-hmm.
what one thing would that be?
Whatever it is you're thinking about and holding back from, you are absolutely worth it. So just do it.
I love that.
Wow.
I love that. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Casey, for
Yep.
coming on.
Thank you.
you.
Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.